My name is Johnny Gibson. I was John W. Gibson in the U.S. Army Paratroops, serial number 191-06676. I'd gotten a letter from the draft board, said you have 1 week to report. And I said to myself, I'm not being drafted, I'm going to enlist. I thought that was a little more macho, a little better. So didn't have any trouble passing the exam. You know, they were running them through by the hundreds and thousands. They have you stand there and do a few exercises to show that you can get around. And if you're good and warm, they'll take you. So I told my friends goodbye, and seems to me like my neighbor, Bertha Benefield, cooked a fried chicken dinner. And we had a few friends in, part of her family, 2 or 3 of her children, and old Artie Zell, and a couple of close friends, kind of like a going away, a farewell, because we didn't know if we were coming back. Well, a lot of them didn't come back. But the next morning, I got up and see, it was that afternoon. I was in the late afternoon, that's right. I closed up my little house, locked it up, and threw a little black sweater over my arm and went down to South 6th Avenue. I was living by the Veterans Hospital South, and hitchhiked a ride to town. And I told the couple that picked me up where I was going, and they wished me good luck. I enlisted in the Airborne. I thought that was the greatest achievement. I'd given some thought to submarine duty with the Navy, but I wanted the paratrooping. So I signed up for the Army and told them I wanted to be a paratrooper. A lot of things go through your mind, but my brother, my only brother, was in the Navy already, and my friends were already going in. A lot of my friends chose to be pilots. And I gave it a little thought, and I said, no, I won't do that. I'm not afraid to, but I think I could do better as a paratrooper. So I went to Phoenix, and they had a big gang of guys there going in, you know, all dressed as civilians, and all headed to Fort MacArthur, California, in San Pedro. And I no sooner than got there, and an old sergeant said, "What do you want to do in the Army, soldier?" I said, "I want to be a paratrooper." And he said, "Good, we need you. We're forming a paratroop regiment down in Georgia right now." He said, "Go get a haircut and get some clothes." I said, "I just had a haircut." He said, "Get a haircut." I'd had almost all of it cut off anyway. There were guys everywhere, civilians coming in, and there were guys, ready to go in and do something worthwhile. Seemed like everybody was anxious to help. And so I was only there a couple of days, and they sent me by train to Georgia, where the Airborne were training, in the mountains, northern Georgia, a place called Toccoa. That's our paratroop basic training. Lasted 3 months, very intensive training, jumping out of these mock-up towers where you jump out and you fall down so far and a cable ends up and you go rolling down a cable and land in a sawdust pit. Kind of gives you the feeling. And then at Fort Benning, when we got down there, they have the 250-foot towers. You get up there and it's pretty high, and you jump, and you get the actual feeling of the chute opening, and then you float down on your own and land. Pretty hard generally. Boy, you whack that ground hard. The chutes back then were not too great, but they were successful. And it was kind of fun, you know, kind of daredevil type stuff. And I had been doing quite a bit of weightlifting before I went in the service, and gymnastics like hand balancing. I used to try to see how far I could walk on my hands. And I was learning to do balancing tricks. And, I was in pretty good shape, yet that was pretty strenuous. At Toccoa, Georgia, in basic, they made a hellacious obstacle course. I'm telling you, that thing was dangerous. Seemed to be. You start on a steep hill and you go down and slalom through a bunch of stumps where they'd cut down pine trees. Boy, and you'd have to go fast down that. And you get down to the bottom and you had to take a rope and swing across a mud hole like quicksand, and you didn't want to fall in that junk. And then you scale a tall, must have been 8 feet, a big wooden board like a big fence. You have to get up and over that thing. And nothing was easy about it, but it was kind of fun in a way. Then when we got a chance, we did a little weightlifting. They had some weights there, and some of the guys would get together and lift pine logs, not too big around, but several on one log. I remember Company G, which I was in at the time. They'd get about 5 or 6 guys, and they'd press that up and down. We were making do with what we had. That's Company G, 506th Regiment, 3rd Battalion. Those are friends of mine. I used to be in that company. I was a machine gunner. And shortly after about a 3 to 4 weeks training and basic training, one day they said, "Gibson, we need you as a medic. You'll be a medic from now on." I didn't like the idea. I had had senior lifeguard training and quite a bit of first aid training. And I was a professional barber, so they figured I knew how to handle people. But it was rewarding and exciting, and right away we made private first class, you know, 1 little stripe, and pretty soon T5 technical sergeant, or no, that would be corporal, T corporal, 2 stripes, and then eventually 3 stripes sergeant. So we guys that tried hard, we were promoted along. And nobody went to OCS school, no officers among the enlisted. We were there for one purpose, to do combat against the enemy. And we knew that we would be going to Europe. All in all, we were so proud of our silver wings. After 5 jumps, I made 6, and then you get your silver wings. And they let you pack your own parachute for the first 5 or 6 jumps. So I packed mine for the first 6. Jumped 6 times, got those silver wings, and boy, I was proud. PFC or corporal and you know, 2 stripes and silver wings. Then after jump school, we got a 10-day furlough. And my goodness, that's not very long from Toccoa, Georgia, and no fast transportation. That's myself up at Greensboro in North Carolina. Those girls were students, and this date had been prearranged between Newell and C.V. Carroll and myself. And the girl in black was my date, Sarah Lou Allred. The 2 girls on the right were heavenly twins. They were dressed alike and looked just alike. They were real nice young ladies. We had a luncheon with them. We spent part of the afternoon. I'd go through that again if I had a chance. We actually headed up to North Carolina for training up there in the pine forest. And after that training, in July of '43, we were sent on what is called Tennessee maneuvers. We were stationed up in northern part of Kentucky. That we'd catch those C-47 airplanes and fly down into Tennessee and jump right out into the fields, the farmlands. Gosh, one day I landed right in a garden right next to a house and barn. I heard a lady say to her husband, "Look here, what's out in our garden? Look at those parachutes." Yeah, so we were jumping in anywhere. It didn't matter, we just jumped. And we generally end up, most of us, in pretty good shape. I jumped one time and all I could see was forest except one opening, and it was a lake. Well, I landed in the trees, came out okay, just lucky. So you do a lot of stuff like that, and hell, you're ready to do anything. Nothing is too hard a task. They make you tough, and they make you believe you're tough. And we were, I guess. We were little guys compared to the troopers of today. But we were gutsy, and you had to be. it was important.